This is Kevin Conroy, and I am the goddamn Batman. Hi, this is Kevin Conroy, and you're listening to the Geekcast Radio Network.
You've just jumped inside the pull bag. Join TFG1Mike and the rest of the comic crew here at the GCRN as they make their great escape into comics. From DC, Marvel, and Image to IDW, Boom Studios, and Zenescope, we have everything right here. We cover things like Transformers, He-Man, superheroes, TMNT, and Radiant Black. Yeah, we have all that and so much more. It's all inside the pull bag here on the Geekcast Radio Network. So, without further ado, it's time to talk about the comics we're reading right now, here inside the pull bag.
Hello and welcome to the pull bag. This is episode 482. I am, of course, TFG1Mike, and it has been just over a year since we did Batman Beyond, Volume 6, Divide, Conquer, and Kill with my buddy JT from Saskatoon. Hello, sir. How are you?
Not bad. I'm back.
Yeah, you're back. And since that time, folks, I'm going to keep this rant extremely short. Amazon came in and fucked up Comixology, so we're not... The pull bag is no longer going panel by panel anymore, because if I can't... I've asked Comixology, I've asked Amazon, hey, can there at least be a comic... Can the Comixology app, which I still have on my phone, which I can still read comics the way I've always read them in the last 9 years of this podcast, you know... Can we at least have it on the Microsoft Store so I can have it on my damn computer? Oh, no. They have to do Kindle Comics. Oh, I just threw up in my mouth. I can't say Kindle Comics without throwing up. Anyway, Batman Beyond, Volume 7, First Flight. Hey, wait a minute. That's a Green Lantern thing. What's going on around here? So we are back. It has been just over a year, as I mentioned. And, yeah... First Flight, Terry continues to be on the run from the police with his new acquaintance, Constance oh, God, I'm going to screw her name up.
Gustinov.
There you go. Thank you.
Just Constance. It'll save time.
Yeah. It'll be constantly Constance at this point. Yeah. As Neo Gotham is left wondering what happened to Batman.
Yeah. And I forgot they had introduced Jack Ryder into the Beyond verse.
Oh, really?
Well, yeah, because that's the reporter.
Yep.
It's me, Jack Ryder. I was like, no, I know it's not going to happen because, spoiler warning, folks, the two volumes we're looking at today, 7 and 8, are essentially the last of Batman
Dan
Beyond
Jurgens'
comics. Yeah, his run, and until the Batman Neo Year 1, that's the first issue's already out, and it's not bad. It's certainly set up some interesting storylines. But, yeah, I forgot they had introduced Jack Ryder, and now my hopes are somewhat dashed with the conclusion of the series that we will not get a Creeper Beyond, which is still one of my all-time favorite episodes of the Red Sky years of the animated series.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I remember when we did, was it Target Batman? It was Volume 4, or Volume... It was either Target Batman or The Final Joke, which was Volume 5 of this series. I remember as soon as you saw Jack Ryder, you were like, ooh, it's the Creeper, yay.
And I can never have anything that I like. But yeah, it's...
I mean, you know what? Batman Beyond in comics, since the show and since comics and whatever else, has had a fairly good run, I would say, since about 10,000 Clowns. I mean, everything we've covered, do we have problems with certain things with it? Sure, absolutely. You're not going to love everything you read or watch or whatever, but overall, it's been a damn good run. And Dan's run, Dan Jurgens' run, like, when did he start? Wasn't it 2015? Yeah, it was Brave New Worlds, wasn't it? Yeah. I think I have that right.
Well, anyway, I've been writing since I know from the beginning of the Rebirth series, which is Volume 6. Yeah, and it's been a while since we talked about it, but there was the Tim Drake series that
that's the one I'm talking. Future's End.
Future's End. Yeah. So we got First Flight, Batman's missing after the psychic backlash from Falseface taking Terry's identity has wiped his mind, and he's palling around with Constance, who, in my head, I looked at her, I was like, wow, it's evil Moira McTaggart from. And then we've got a multiverse crossover going on. But yeah,
I'm telling you, man, as soon as that Disney and Warner Brothers Discovery merger happens, we're going to have one big giant conglomerate, and Marvel and DC will be crossing over all of the time.
Mr. Mouse, when did you decide you were taking over the world? I'm not taking over the world, sir. I own it.
Yes.
But anyway, the story is Terry's on the run with Constance. Cops are looking for him. And we find out by the end of the first issue that Blight is back. Now, two things when I was rereading this in preparation for the show. One, I can't believe it. It took me until this rereading that, wow, Blight is like a future version of the classic 70s villain Dr. Phosphorus.
Yep.
With the whole glowy skin and skeleton and all that, I was like, wow. He really deserved better. I think he should have. I honestly, and this is just me, and I know it's when you do an animated series and everything, it's a whole bunch of priorities and whatnot. But Blight should have been around longer, and I think he should have been, if not the main villain all the way through, he definitely should have been like the last guy in the last episode. Like, never mind, then you have Return of the Joker and Epilogue in JLU. But Blight was always my favorite original villain for the Beyond verse.
See, the difference is that Blight is more, okay, yes, Blight essentially hired Mr. Fix to kill Warren McGinnis. And we're talking about the animated series, folks, and this comic series as well. But Blight and Derek Powers, Blight/Derek Powers, whatever, they're the same damn thing. They were always more of a Bruce villain to me. They were like remnants of the old Batman kind of villains, whereas Terry, his Joker is essentially ink. I don't think anyone can disagree with me on that one, because that's essentially his number one most...
Well, I mean, Blight is Terry's number one villain. It's he was a villain to Bruce, but that's lowercase v. It's like Guardians 2. You're a god, small g, son. So that's. But he's a capital V villain when he become like. He starts with killing Warren, like Terry's dad, and then getting a face full of virus and. We're going to use radiation to cure you, Mr. Powers. It's like, okay. But I love the look of Blight in his armored suit, which is also, I don't know how well you know your comics, like your Batman history, but his suit is reminiscent of the third Clayface, Preston Payne, who is a guy who got like the dried up mud remains of Matthew Hagen, the original shape-shifting Clayface, created a serum to inject into himself because he's got this this fugly face. It's an actual disease. I can't remember it for the life of me right now. And then he has shape-shifting powers for like a day, and then he starts becomes the Incredible Melting Man. And he has to wear this exoskeleton with a dome top piece on the top. That's what this suit looks like. And
so this suit, I'm looking at the panel where he says, will be Bruce Wayne for all he's done to me, blah, blah, blah. He won't, he'll face the wrath of Blight or whatever it is that he says here. I see this full suit and I'm like, okay, somebody call Lex Luthor, and because Lex Luthor going to sue someone. I swear, the way this suit looks, with his irradiated body inside of it, it looks like one of Lex's suits from Justice League when he had the whole kryptonite cancer thing.
Well, I think there are elements of that here. I think it looks more like his Brainiac Luthor form from the end of the Cadmus storyline there. But yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
Like I said, he looks like Dr. Phosphorus 2.0. But yeah, he's I will get revenge, He-Man. I mean Batman. Which is another reason why I always like Blight as a villain, because he reminds
he's essentially he's essentially
our Lord
Skeletor.
And Master Skeletor.
Yes.
And I have to say, overall in this run, we've got a couple of fill-in issues by the great Paul Pelletier, who I first discovered on Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern in the 90s. But it's Sean Chen, and I've been a huge fan of this guy since I first discovered him on Heroes, after Heroes Reborn from Marvel in the 90s, where he was for the first 2 or 3 years, he was the artist on the Iron Man thing. And he's always had a great background and technical detailing with his art.
Yep.
Which is why I love his Batman run so much here. I know as we get in the second issue with Batwoman Beyond.
Yeah.
And then
this is the second time, I think, that they've done the whole. Now, this is just, you can correct me, obviously, but this is my second experience with Old Dick and him having a daughter named Elena. The first time I experienced this was Kyle Higgins doing Nightwing New Order. Was that one-shot series that Kyle did a couple of years ago?
I remember that, yeah. But he basically screws over the entire DC universe, and then mea culpa when he finds out his kid has superpowers.
Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I think it's Eliana, isn't it?
We mispronounce names around here all the time.
And we would.
You're probably right. I'm not saying you're
bag if not, Mike.
Exactly right. I mean, we pull names out of hats around here.
But yeah. Spoiler, folks. Batwoman Beyond is the daughter of Dick Grayson, and really, did we really have to go that far down the suspect list to figure that out?
Okay, so with this volume specifically, you had mentioned we're doing 2. We are recording the final 2, but Volume 8 will be next week when people will actually hear it.
Yeah.
But with Volume 7, with First Flight, I really dig Bruce and Matt and Barbara doing their whole suspect thing, because all of them are so content in their choice. Like, it's kind of like me when I make a choice on something. My stubbornness will not get out of my way, and I understand that, I know that, and I embrace it because I was born stubborn.
Yeah, because I love the fact that, first of all, I love the whole grandfather-grandson interplay between Bruce and Matt. It's honestly adorable, and I love it.
Yep.
And I love how they both have, no, it's Barbara, no, it's Melanie. So they both go to, do the thing from Detective Fiction where you bust in the room and it's like, you're Batwoman, admit it. And they both laugh in the same wah-ha-ha way. And then they're both Matt and Bruce are so crestfallen because they were wrong. And it's honestly just because they're missing Terry so much.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. And I like this because it's one of those things where I don't want to say he was pushed aside,
but
because we've gotten several comic series that we've talked about with varying things to do with Dick Grayson / Nightwing. But essentially, Batman Beyond was old Bruce and young Peter Parker, whatever, you know what I mean? Essentially it was, we need a young Batman, we need a teenage Batman, yada, yada, yada. There really was no room for, and I wish there was a Killing Joke, not Killing Joke, you know what the hell, Return of the Joker, alternate scene where Bruce, Dick, and Barbara are doing a scene together, but it is what it is. And I love the way that they've incorporated Dick Grayson into the future essentially by right of birth. I mean, he gives birth to, he doesn't give birth, his wife, whoever that is in this.
You know what? We know, Mike. We know how biology works.
Yeah. You know what I mean.
Yeah.
But it's just one of those things where it's really cool. Again, it goes to the legacy of Batman. It goes to the legacy of Batman Beyond. It goes to the legacy of Nightwing. It's always been Bruce Wayne, Dick Grayson, quote-unquote father and son. Now, I know they haven't technically said that Bruce is... I don't know if they're following the cartoon continuity of Bruce secretly replaced his Warren's DNA, and that's fine. They don't have to do that. I kind of prefer Bruce Wayne not being Terry McGinnis's father in these comics specifically.
It being a quirk of fate that he suffered the same origin story as Bruce. Yeah. I don't believe they are. That is wholly something
the cartoons,
from the cartoons.
Yeah,
and
I mean, and it worked for the cartoons for the shock value for for what we got in epilogue. It worked there, and yeah, I just absolutely love the way that they've done all of the Beyond comics since we started covering them back in 2015.
Yeah, and I love this story, like the idea because. In case you forgot, folks, when we did the Tim Drake Batman Beyond post Futures End, that timeline, it was very much in the idea that Gotham or Neo Gotham is one of, if not the only bastions of human civilization still left after the AI apocalypse of that alternate future, which is why, we have that flash of light where Tim Drake disappears at the end. And then we get into the volume before, which was, I think it was the volume before this.
Divide, Conquer, and Kill.
Yeah, and but in the greater cosmology of the DC Comics universe, this may potentially be the future of Batman, or it may not, but its own inherent timeline has been rewritten because the effects of Dr. Manhattan fiddling with time in Doomsday Clock. So I think this is more in line with the overall timeline of the Batman Beyond cartoon. And Terry's dad is going to narc on Wayne Powers for creating, biological weapons. He dies. Terry becomes Batman and everything else. And this is also how they've massaged in so many elements of pre-Flashpoint DC Comics into the current continuity because... Yeah. The idea with the New 52 was the result of Dr. Manhattan futzing with the timeline, and that's why those first 4 or 5 years of the New 52 essentially read like, what if Image Comics ran DC Comics in the 90s? Because that's what it felt like. And there's a lot of great stuff that come out of the New 52, don't get me wrong. I'm just establishing that the timeline is messed up.
Right, yeah. I mean, DC's timeline has always been messed up, just like Marvel's timeline has been messed up at times. I mean, for the most part.
Not as bad, though.
No, not as bad. Well, I mean, at least Marvel, when they go from being Marvel to Marvel Now or Marvel Next or Marvel Unlimited or Marvel Insert after, adjective here, whatever, at least they have... at least they have a Kevin Feige or somebody. DC doesn't have a Kevin Feige, but again, Warner Brothers and Disney, get in bed together.
But
boom, there you go.
Story.
Yeah. Anyway, what I love in this I think it's issue 38 here, is as Constance and Terry are out on the street. My favorite panel from this is the one where it's. Damn it, come on. Constance says to him, give me a credit card and I can match any retina scan it has embedded in it, Mystery Man. That is so shway. Terry, I love, and this is so stupid.
What?
The panel where, he's got like, his burger or burrito, whatever the fuck it is in his mouth. Somebody from behind, and it's Barbara.
And Barbara, and he still hasn't let go of his burrito because man is hungry.
Yep.
And I was like, wow, he's still got those skills because he absolutely nails Barbara in the face. And they jump off one of those Blade Runner-esque walkways. And did they commit suicide? No, they've got jet boots because future.
Yeah. I mean,
And this is honestly my favorite bit of a character development, the writing in this story is they sit down to eat their meal. Finally, they're on this Neo Gotham water tower, and you start seeing how Constance is actually bad. Where she starts, I was this researcher at Wayne Powers. I was developing this nerve agent, and then this backstabbing whistleblower.
I was, Derek Powers' mistress.
I was like, well, I hope you enjoyed that for what it was, lady.
At least she had him before he went nuclear, I guess. I don't know.
Literally. Hi-oh.
Hi-oh. So I have to say that the scene, okay, so we get this, just to back up a couple of beats, where they activate the boots and they're flying through the air. Right after that, the panel where she says he says they're easy to use, Constance. That reminds me so much of the rooftop in '89. What the heck was that, man? I don't know. It was some giant, where the two criminals are getting away. So
yeah,
that's what that whole scene reminds me of there.
I can see that. But yeah, you as soon as she said that, thanks to a backstabbing whistleblower, I was like, oh crap, she's going to turn on Terry. Yep. And then we go to Wayne Powers, and I love how you got these guys who are working for Wayne Enterprises, but they worked for Powers back in the day, and they're like, hey, if he wants to glass this place, I'll take his money, because corruption runs deep in Gotham City. And one thing I never liked about the design and the animation is illustrated here, where Blight sneaks up behind this nameless office worker and snaps his neck. But you see how he's wearing those dumb, Batman Beyond, Geordie LaForge glasses.
Yep.
There's no ways any of that should stay on his face. And it promptly goes flying. And I was like, finally, somebody fixes something that I've been complaining about inside my head for 20 years.
Yeah. And I think it's just the outline of his nose, though. I don't know. Yeah, no, he's not wearing glasses, dude.
Well, no, he's got that weird visor dealie that is the future glasses in the Batman Beyond universe.
Oh, you're talking about the guy's neck that he snaps.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
I thought you were talking about Blight. Okay, I was going to say, because...
Blight would never wear anything to cover up that gloriously gruesome visage. And then Batwoman shows up, and I love how they keep her going back to the suit adapts to the wearer, which we got back with the symbiote suit, a couple volumes back.
Yeah,
and clearly this Batwoman she's got something to prove, because a lot of this stuff, I would say on first blush, seems a tad more vicious than Terry is.
Oh, yeah.
But it might just be Sean Chen's art, too. It's just how she comes in and Mach speed knocks these guys over and swipes around and hits them with the shock blast, and then she crashes through, and we go back to the Batcave, and she comes up on Blight, and then the look on Bruce's face when that voice, he's alive. Yep. Who's alive? It's Blight. And that, now this shot here of his suit, that is straight up a Lex Luthor special.
But, absolutely it is, yes.
I love that, how I love, one thing I love of Blight's design, aside from the whole skeleton in a suit, was how he always had that kind of ripple of energy around him. Yep. He's giving her, at this point, maybe a really bad sunburn, because the suit does offer some protection.
Yeah. So this is the final page of issue 38 in the story here, where he's holding her up. Is it just me, or has at least one issue of every Beyond series that we've covered since the Drake run, even before then, I swear, when we did Wired for Death, I swear there was a point where Rewire was holding up the Batman suit, literally in this exact same pose. Somebody is holding somebody else up in a Batman Beyond suit. I swear I've seen this posed before. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just
I think it's a huge coincidence, but that pose has shown up several times throughout Batman's history.
Yes.
But,
yes, it has. I mean, thankfully, Blight didn't try to break her back, because that would just be don't.
Yeah. I know. I mean, they know they had the slappers, but I kind of always wanted to see like a Neo Gotham version of Bane, like a proper version of Bane. But that's just me. But we get into this new one, and they got new art by let's see if I can pronounce this name correctly, Imaki Miranda, who does the pencils on this issue.
Yep.
Very stark contrast, still really good. Got a nice feel for the technical and layout design and all that. And they do some cool stuff with not solid panels all over. And some things flow into others, like where Blight punches Batwoman, you see her foot and her arm, all of a sudden it's like she's been transported to the Batcave.
Yep. Pretty much, yeah.
And Bruce and Terry are still trying to figure out who Batwoman is. And it's like, it must be Melanie. No, it's Barbara. And I remember reading this and thinking, okay, at this point, it's not them, because that's way too easy.
Yeah. Well, first of all, yeah, I mean, Barbara, in this series to this point, she's older, but she's not Angie Harmon old, Return of the Joker. She's not that, like...
Would you kid like a butterscotch old? Because she's old. Like, and don't get me wrong, we all love Angie Harmon, Barbara, but yeah, she's, again, because of the timelines, wibbly-wobbly, it's slightly more mature Barbara Gordon. She doesn't have a streak of gray in that hair.
Not yet.
Yeah, so I do like the Avenger, at least I think it's an Avengers reference to the Hulk Loki thing, where, because he definitely looks like the Hulk there, where Blight grabs her by her ankles and, like, wham, 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 wham.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely it is, yeah.
And then we go back to Terry and Constance, and Constant knows who she is, and this sympathetic lover of the main villain is going to do something nasty.
Yep. Yeah. Okay, so I don't know, folks. You got, people that are listening to this, y'all can go back to episode 396 of the Pull Bag and hear what JT and I said about Volume 6, Divide, Conquer, and Kill, which was the false face thing and everything else. Looking back, I don't remember much of that other than the fact that False Face died while wearing Terry or whatever the hell it was, hence why Terry has no memory. I like this with, like, this that we're talking about now, where Terry is trying to figure him, like, you have this juxtaposition of daughter Grayson being the new Batwoman, whereas Terry needs to find himself again and figure out, like, it's this whole, it's like if Marty got hit on the head and it was somebody else other than his own mother that woke him up. You know what I mean? It's this alternate whatever kind of thing, and it's really cool that they can tell. This is what I like about multiple multiple vignettes, multiple arcs in one story, where you have one side of the characters over here and you have the other side of the characters over here. You're essentially telling two different stories that will collide into the whole story eventually. It's just fun, even though I know Constance is an evil bitch.
Yeah. And again, just getting back to Sean Chen's art, like the
it's so good.
Yeah, because when you get into issue 40 and that first shot of Blight sitting on the throne, okay, I know it's Blight, but especially in this shot with those colors,
yes,
Sean Chen should do, I know it's almost blasphemy amongst men of our generation when you talk about this animated series, but I low-key kind of dig what they were going for with New Adventures of He-Man.
Oh, no.
And this could be a great take on the whole mutant.
No.
To you, it's my idea. It's my head canon.
I understand it's your idea, and I respect that it's your idea, but I have plenty of bad ideas, and this is one of your bad ideas. No.
Well, it doesn't sound like you're respecting my ideas at all then, Mike. Anyway, we're in like some lab complex, inside some area, probably something that Derek Powers hid away from Bruce.
Or the other way around. It's something he found, yeah.
Because we do find out in, I think it's the next issue or the issue after, that in this continuity, which is like 90% the animated series in terms of the storyline, that after he took over after he took over Wayne Enterprises and became Wayne Powers, Derek Powers found out all the secret construction projects that Bruce did. So I mean, it could or it could not be, but you could see Constance, not to be too gross, but she's her body is ready because she clearly wants to jump this pile of bones.
I'm getting really, really bad Mark Hamill voices in my head. Oh, what a revelation I did not need.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, sexy Skeletor with evil in. Blah! No, thank you. Don't do that, Kevin Smith, you bastard.
I have no idea what you're talking about. We're moving on.
Yes.
So it's like, most people shit themselves when they look at me, but you're not. Why? And Terry's like, she told me what you looked like before we walked into the room. If that's all it is to handle talking to Blight, I was like, your look is not as strong as you think it is, sir.
Yeah, no.
Also, the fact that Terry's seen like way worse stuff in his history, just there in the background. And I if he had eyebrows, they would be popped right now. Like that look on his face in the panel after Evil Moira tells him that this is Warren McGinnis's son, and he's got what could only be, aside from the fact that skeletons always have a grin, he is grinning from ear to ear because he's like, the irony is delicious.
Mm-hmm.
And then I just love the fact that I love story beats like this, and then the hero has amnesia working for his bad guy because they've been done. It's a trope. It's not a bad trope, I don't think. I love it. No. And you just hear them. It's implied mocking laughter as we go back to Batwoman. Mm-hmm. Which I totally thought this was going to be like a villain origin or something where she's rescuing the security guard from this device that's like devouring this building.
Yeah.
And again, to go back to the animated series, the scene where Constance is like, I can see why you needed the containment suit, not just to protect those around you, but to protect me. And I flash back to the Ink episode. What the hell's wrong with you? It's not healthy to be around me when I'm shedding.
Yeah.
And it never occurred to me. I love how they actually showed that because they tell him that the pseudo flesh suit only lasts so long, but it's not like he got like the glowy eye veins or anything. It's like you actually see it disintegrating over a few seconds in that scene. So I really kind of thought that nod here. And then Terry comes back wearing this. I'm sorry, I absolutely hate the design on this security guard suit thing. It looks so dumb. Of everything that looks like, the fashion choices of the future are not always good. And as wound up as my brain is when we go back to the Batcave, but Matt's like, but it has to be one of you, doesn't it? And Barbara's led the world's greatest detective stumped, and the look on Bruce's face, he's like, hell, my life is a living hell.
Yeah, because they're like, it's not us. And at the end, he's like, I'm still not convinced. And Matt's like, yeah, how about some proof?
Well, you go.
Barbara just points at the screen. She's like, "Will that do?"
Yeah, I still think it's in that 2 panels. It's where Matt says it has to be one of them, and Bruce has this like, I don't believe her. But then you look at the popped eyebrows and his face, and he's like, "I'm in hell. This is my punishment."
Yep.
And of course, Powers has sent Goon Squad with one of these devourer bombs to eat, Wayne Manor. It doesn't look exactly like the animated series design, but I think the general motif of this looks
it's close enough for a far away shot. It's not. Yeah, because it's at that panel where she's flying into to hopefully save everybody. But
points at the screen. This guy, he fires a missile at her, and I was wondering, when did a Cobra villain from G.I. Joe get here? Because that's what he looks like. Like some Neo Gotham version of Metalhead from the dumbass Deke series. And Batwoman's doing her best to deal with, and she's got a heat seeker on her tail. They activate the bomb, and that's when, it's Nightwing. With that black and the blue and the overall design aesthetic. If you thought it was anyone else, you clearly have not been reading Batman comics that long.
No.
And I love how he just hits the button, he turns it off. Really? It's that easy?
I gotta say, I'm digging. Like, it's not often. Outside of the original animated series Nightwing suit, I have never, and I blame Kyle Higgins, I have never been an overall fan of Nightwing Blue. I have always been Nightwing Red because of Higgins's New 52 run. And I will die on that hill, and that's fine.
Oh, you're going to die alone on that hill.
Yeah, well, it is what it is. I'm going to die alone anyway, so what the hell's the point? But this suit and this, seriously, you want to talk about homages. Like, when he rides up on that bike, I'm like, hey, look, it's Akira.
Yeah.
Because,
Yeah. I love the overall, like I said, I love Sean Chen's art, and for some reason, just kind of the look of some of the tech that he uses here, I'm getting like Jack Kirby vibes. So it's like, okay, he just punched it off instead of plugging in a mother box and turning it off. But I mean, it's not even a Nightwing suit. This is his biker leathers. Like this is that's all it is. This is his riding outfit for the Akira special that he's got there. And I love your timing's perfect. Well, that's because I learned from the best. And mutual admiration society moment between Batman and Robin / Nightwing. Overall, the one thing I didn't like about the digital first Batman Beyond comics that we've talked about is like the Nick Fury Dick Grayson that we got there.
Yeah,
I was just not a fan of first of all, of Dick losing an eye and then him wearing an eye patch. It just, I didn't like that. So I like this,
Yeah, I'm okay with this. I like this, but I liked that because at one point in those, or is it in this? I forget. It's one of those ones where in one of the comics that we've covered over the last couple of years since then, Terry says, well, at least the eye thing worked out in this universe or whatever it is, or you know what I mean? So I'm okay with Dick Grayson, Agent of Batman.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'd say purely as a design thing. I mean, it was established early on with Nick Fury when he first showed up in the Marvel comics that, he already had the eye patch, and then they came out with, Sergeant Fury and the Howling Commandos to illustrate his history in World War II with the unit, and then they have the story where he took a grenade to the face and he didn't let it heal properly, and that's how he lost the eye, versus the somewhat laughable reason he lost the eye in the movies. And I don't hate Captain Marvel, but I was like, Really? Space Cat? You bastards. So, yeah, we get into the next issue, 41, where thank God they gave him a better suit. I'm sorry. It's still kind of the same design, but it's the colors. I don't know why I'm obsessed with
Yeah,
this,
the last suit, he kind of looked like a garbage man.
Yeah,
and this one, it's
gray and blue, and it's just, I had no idea the colors upset me like that. I found another trigger today.
There you go.
But yeah, we go in the clearly she hits like a girl. That is not me trying to be a misogynist. It's
just the way it looks.
It looks like, you put him to sleep. I mean, but she swung a future monkey wrench at him. She should have caved his head in.
Yeah,
Oh, but she's a scientist and she knows the right angle and exactly how much force to use. There, see? It's better. I'm just saying.
That doesn't look like no damn monkey wrench. That looks like a crowbar to me. I know it's not a crowbar, but hello, it's a Batman
it's
thing,
probably
folks.
A combination monkey wrench and crowbar because the future.
Yes.
But, yeah, and they're doing the old mind swap thing, which...
Yeah, they're going to use Terry's body as Powers' new body because,
I would love to see the alternate universe where, Terry goes to the alternate universe where this happened, and you've got evil Terry as the new Blight, because in my head canon, some of the radioactivity crossed over, and eventually this all happened again.
Yeah.
But the first, your daughter is missing, is bum, bum, bum.
Yeah. Your daughter is Batwoman? What are you talking about?
But Matt's reaction, oh, man. Like, we should have known the whole... Matt, you are 12 years old and you've barely discovered girls. You don't know shit.
Well, you know what? I gotta defend Tim, though, because...
Tim?
Other than it being Melanie or potentially Barbara, who else is there?
Well, that's the thing that kind of bugged me, too, about whether or not all the Batman Beyond... And then clearly with this series, as I kind of established earlier, they've established that this is post-Rebirth and the timeline getting rejiggered because of Dr. Manhattan. So the digital first comics of Batman Beyond aren't in canon, and they did have that Batgirl Beyond, so I thought it might even been that character whose name I cannot remember.
Yeah. I was hoping, because I went back, and I'm like, wait a minute. Didn't they already do a Batgirl Beyond? Yeah, they did. Nyssa something or other. I was kind of hoping Jurgens would have brought her into this, but I completely am okay with it staying in the family.
Yeah. I also love, like, Bruce's riddle was she's aware of our secrets, knows about the cave and everything in it. And I was like, okay, at what point did Elena become Vicky Vale? That thing just sent me back to... Batman Returns is like, who let Vicky Vale into the Batcave, Alfred? I'm just sitting there doing work and oh, hey, Vicky, how's it going? It's just, why would, unless Dick wanted her to become like the new Robin or Huntress or something. But yeah, so like it's her. And then we go back to the, Batwoman cabin that she's got out in the Gotham forest, which just further solidifies that this is a different Earth, and because with the Future's End, Batman Beyond, most of the world had been kind of laid to waste because of the Robozoids.
I like this. I think this is cool. This whole scene of her at wherever she's hiding out, and I think that's really, really fun.
Yeah.
Although it's really weird seeing Melanie in blue and white. I mean, she kind of looks like Sue Storm, which she should not look like Sue Storm.
I don't know if that looks like a decent Fantastic Four cosplay. But yeah, I do like the setup of why, she was like, listens to all the stories of his glory days as, Nightwing, and, we don't know who the mother is.
No, and I like that.
Yeah. In my head canon, it's, if you've ever read the 90s Nightwing series, one of the many romances that Dick had in that series was the Clancy, his landlady in his apartment building, And that's who I think the mother was here. But,
Well, at least you didn't say Starfire.
Well, she has orange hair. And Elena has black hair. And she doesn't fly.
True. But still.
but the setup, I know, but the setup of Elena's desire to become Batwoman is, in a few panels, in a few sentences, is very clearly explained, and we don't have a 3-issue arc of flashbacks of her, deciding to become Batwoman.
I mean, you can tell a story like they're telling with this overall volume. You can tell a character story within several issues, and that's how that they've, like, the first few we had. A mystery, like, we knew, obviously, because once we the readers are told, we know. But yeah, they've done her origin in multiple issues, and it's been fascinating and easy. And like you're saying, being able to do the background in like 4 or 5, 6 panels versus 4 or 5, 6 issues.
Yeah. So, I mean, but the idea that she's always, whether or not she came about it recently or has always intended this, but, Dick and her mom, she went into the service, which is implied, police work or possibly a federal agent or something. And then Bruce
I believe it says she was in the military, but same thing.
Service.
Yeah.
Which could be anything, really. But,
anything, yeah.
And then Bruce drops that line. It's like, the perfect training to become a superhero. And I'm like, yeah, military or some sort of government agent, And then the whole idea is like, she never showed any interest. And then Barbara is like, yeah, young women keeping secrets from their parents. Never happened in this house before.
Nope.
And then he's like, well, if anyone would know, it's you. So, and
exactly.
And she's got, I love the fact that the Alfred AI is in this suit, because this is the suit Terry was wearing, that False Face was wearing, because the whole story starts like a little while after they've defeated False Face and they've reclaimed the suit, but Terry was still out there. So
yeah.
Elena, I don't know if the suit generates the hair or Elena just, glued a wig onto the back of the mask.
Let's just say the suit generates the hair. And I mean, it's also because of the whole style of Batwoman. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Ruby Rose or Ryan, whatever her name is now. Like, that's a wig. That ain't that red hair ain't their own.
Yeah. So I mean, in the comics with Kate, she has red hair, but she never grew it out that long.
Yeah, and that's fine because that's the original character of Kate, and that's how she debuted in comics. But in order to get the Batwoman suit look, I seriously doubt they're going to have the actresses in the television show.
Yeah, and now So Elena, Batwoman, is going up. Terry wakes out. He's inside a pod. He's freaking out like Neo in the Matrix. And when you see, I love the image of Blight with all the hoses and everything hooked up, the transfer at 5%. Like, that's what they're about to do this. But he's grown 4 fucking feet. Never mind the foot-tall platform he's standing on. He's still fucking towering over Moira. We know her name's Constant, folks. I'm sorry. No, that's okay. Evil Moira.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah, and this suit now looks even more Lex-ish because it's even more purple than it was before.
My God, he's the illegitimate son of Lex Luthor. We should have seen it all along. But yeah, so she initiates the process of
the body transfer thing.
Yeah, the body transfer, and they're like, oh, there's something going on. It's not working. Oh, yes, the amnesia. And I love how she just like, boop, 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 boop. Okay, now he remembers everything, because you got to love Future Science.
Yeah.
And Terry just like, I remember.
I remember everything.
And then for some reason, when you said that, the first thing, everything, sir? Everything!
Everything!
Yeah. And he's like, but Batgirl? Woman. Batwoman. Yeah, yuts. Yeah. That's the only, that's not the actual dialogue, folks, but that would have been great if she actually said that. And then he goes and he's, again, it's forced perspective and all that, but Blight still looks like he's the size of the goddamn Hulk.
Yep.
When he tries to punch Batwoman and she trips him, and then Constance tries to initiate the process or kill Terry.
Yeah.
And it just does not work out for Blight.
Nope.
Like he's like, no. And he's like, I love how the bones are breaking down even more. He's little more than a ghost in the suit right now. Yeah. And Constance just like withers and dies because he's literally having such a rage fit that he's just pumping out like copious amounts of radioactivity.
Yeah, when Batwoman grabs Terry and it... Okay, it's the scene where she's lifting... Okay, I know this isn't a chair and it isn't a windshield, but she's lifting something up. We gotta make... Oh, she's pulling off the window. She's pulling off the hatch. Gotta make sure things aren't leaving worse, blah, blah. So the next panel where Constance is in the background and they are flying away from Blight as he's trying to grab them, it looks like Terry has half flying Superman powers because of the way that the art is of her like holding, like, I'm not saying that she was ever gonna cradle him like He-Man would cradle damsel in distress thing, but it looks really weird. It's not a bad thing.
It's awkward looking, but
yeah.
So they GTFO, and Blight has his hissy fit and kills his former lover, which sounds weird to say because let's face it, Derek Powers probably just used her as a form of stress relief while letting her think he cared for her because I love base plant. Who knows? Maybe if the series continues, she would have come back as a female Blight.
I hope.
Oh, that would have been cool.
I did not mind this being a Blight story. I know you like Blight as the overall Batman Beyond main villain, and that's fine. And I'm all well and good with this story and how this was told and everything else. But one story with Blight is enough.
Yeah, I mean, everyone has what they like. Yeah. I do have to say, I love the... I don't know who did the cover for issue 42.
Yep.
But I love the painted look, kind of...
It's so good, yeah.
In the Mist Shrouded Field, you got, Wayne Manor in the background, Blight getting his ass kicked into a tombstone. A more cloth-like wing bit going on for the Batwoman suit. She's got the long flowing red hair. Who, whether the suit generated the hair or she just glued a wig on there, I'd imagine she, knowing if she didn't know Barbara was Batgirl, she knew Batgirl from history tapes. And I'm a female Bat person. This is only appropriate. But we get in and we have that thing that I mentioned before that Blight knew that Bruce was Batman. And he's got this, to go back to Skeletor, he's got one of the flying discs from the Masters of the Universe movie as he floats up to the cliffside entrance of the Batmobile where the road used to go, but clearly over time stuff has crumbled away and they just kept the door there. And he goes in at the same time as the Bat family has come back home. They're going through. I love the fact that they still got the clock. It still works like the animated series. It's weird the little things you notice, but I've always loved the whole grandfather clock entrance idea in Batman, and they've used it different ways. Like the Adam West series had the bookcase with the Shakespeare bus switch. The Batman it wasn't a grandfather clock, but I think they had a grandfather clock, and they also had like the arcade machine that slid aside and was another entrance to the Batcave. It's little touches like that I love in this series.
Yeah, absolutely. The cover for issue 42, the one that we love, the one with her, basically, it's green, red, and purple, or black, green, red, and purple, because it's Batman up at the top, and then it's her kicking into Blight, that cover, the main cover. It's by our good old friend Dustin Yin. Ooh. Dustin Nijin, or you know who I'm talking about.
Nguyen, I think.
Maybe. There you go.
We apologize for butchering your family.
Yes. Yes. We are so sorry.
But yeah, so they walk into the Batcave, and Blight is standing like King Kong ain't got nothing on him on top of the Batmobile, which finally, after seeing all the various Batmobiles in the background of various shots of the story so far, we finally get the OG Beyond Mobile.
Yep.
Which was nice for me. And he's set up, he's got a remote to shoot missiles from the car. He's blowing up everything. It looks like he blows up what may or may not be the 89 Batmobile, in which case, you heartless bastard.
Yeah, if this was a Sean Gordon Murphy comic, that would never happen.
Yeah. Or you'd have like a dozen of them parked around the corner. But yeah.
True.
When we get Elena and Terry. Well, he's Batman now.
Technically, he is still Batman, yes.
Commiserating as they're flying back to the Batcave. And they get in Blight's, wrecking shop. Yep. And I do love this, is killing the original Batman makes me far more than a cheap punk. And Bruce, whoever that man is, it won't be you, as Elena just Goldberg spears him.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, she comes flying in like a Batwoman out of hell.
Yeah.
And,
And then Terry runs to... I thought he was going for the symbiote suit for a second, and it didn't occur to me until he comes rocketing out, and he just went back to the Mark 1.
Yeah.
Which is great, because there's the little touches of like the eyes and the belt on, technically that's Mark 3.
Yeah, whatever.
And
so again, Bruce always having things prepared.
So like he straight uppercuts Powers, and I'm just like, sweet, because there's something about a superhero uppercut in the comics that is just like chef's kiss. And he's like, you think you can steal my body, kill my family? And he's like, I love Bruce's like, damn son look on his face, because he's like, that. Matt's like, that's, and Batman's just like, shway.
Yeah. The look on Bruce's. So what's happening here is that Terry, as Batman, has gotten into the Batmobile, and he is taking it down. And it's, it's going to self-destruct. And you're right, the look on Bruce's face. 3, 2, Terry? Like you said, destruct. Oh, man, this art is so good.
Yeah, and like I said before, as we've said several times throughout this episode, is Sean Chen's, like, besides overall having an overall very solid sense of design and proportion, between the characters and the background, is the finer detail work in the background. Like that scene where Blight's standing over the shattered monitors, the shattered cases of like the suit gallery, and you see like each individual shard of glass, and you see he's little more than a series of Kirby dots inside this suit, because the bones, like the radioactivity, is literally breaking every part of him down.
Yeah.
And then Terry, I love he backs into him at full speed with the jets, and then Elena comes in and he clocks him. And it's just,
yeah, it's so good. I love this arc. I think this arc is really great. I love, like, you have this giant mystery throughout this entire volume, and you have various things going on. You have the realization of who Constance is and what she was, and Blight and whatever else, and you have all these fightings, and then you have these simple moments at the end where, Dick and Elena, or Ileana, or whatever, now do you see why I kept you as far away from this insanity as possible? Of course.
Yeah.
But what I see most of all is that Blight was taken care of. If I hadn't been here, who knows how many people he'd have killed. and then you see just the traditional standard. You see this in almost anything. The final shot, Barbara, Dick, Melanie, who basically says nothing through most of this arc. I mean, she says one or two things to deny that she's the Batwoman.
Yeah, well, she did have a vocal part. I mean, she's still there.
Yeah. Yeah, no, she's still there. And then, you have the thing with Bruce. True enough, thank you for that. But what leaves us with the question, which one of you wears the suit tomorrow? It's one of those, we can actually end the comic on a good note, and we don't have to figure out what story we didn't get if they left it on a cliffhanger.
Yeah. And I mean, just to go back just a little story, there was a great nod to the Ink, what I think is a nod to the Ink episode where she enters the Batcave, where Dick has run off and he's grabbed a tank of fire retardant foam that belonged to Firefly, and Elena's like, Wayne just happened to have an inventory of anti-radiation goop on hand. Yeah.
The goddamn Batman.
Absolutely.
And then, the Batmobile has this grabber claw, which just seemed like something out of how many different toy vehicles we both saw growing up. Like, that just seemed the standard thing. Terry grabs Blight, mounts up, dives into the ocean, drills a hole down into the earth. And again, this is something else to bring, like it says himself, radiation doesn't die. So for all we know, Blight has now become living radiation. He can possess a body. And they could potentially, if the series had continued, could have brought Blight back again. And that is, I think, some grade A comic book storytelling. It's like how they would explain how the Riddler or the Joker died in the Golden Age stories back in the day. It's like, the Riddler, he was just in a coma after getting struck by that lightning. Sure, why not?
Anybody else feel like a fried egg?
Yeah. Thank you. I was hoping you would get that. But yeah, the whole idea is like, yeah, sure, why not? That isn't a negative in comics, and that whether they're superhero comics or whatever. It's if you can have an explanation of potentially why a bad guy returns in the future that at least works somewhat consistently within the internal logic. That's like people who try to judge what's going on in a movie a movie from the trailer. Now, I mean, whether or not you agree with the idea that trailers give away the story, and nowadays half the time they do, the idea that you have at least something of an explanation, and it's not you don't know exactly how much radiation it took for powers to survive. Anyway,
For context for what you're talking about, folks, when he's talking about trailers, I agree with you, and I will always say that a trailer is meant to get you into the film if you're interested in that film. Mm-hmm. However, you're right. Yeah, they do sometimes give everything away. As we are recording this, you find folks will be hearing this in the first week of May. But as we are recording this, April 18th of 2022, the Thor Love and Thunder trailer just came out.
Which I haven't seen yet.
Okay, well then...
No, just as we kind of close it out here, for at least this part of the story, things we still kind of have one more issue here. The idea is like, which one of you wears the suit tomorrow? This is another trope of comic books. Like when the Avengers came back after Heroes Reborn in the 90s, and at the end of the arc, every Avenger, past, present, reserve, not reserve, shows up, and B says, what are we going to do with 34 Avengers? Like, this is the sort of ending that I love in comics. Like this, because, they move on, and then we move on to the next issue, which is basically just them, not glossing over, but they're kind of cleaning stuff up as we move into the next story.
Yes, but we're going to hold off on that because
for the next time.
Yeah, so we're going to take a quick break. You're going to hear some ads and some other stuff. We'll come back to close the show after this. All right, we are back here inside the pull bag. JT, where can the people interact with you online, sir?
Well, you can follow me on most of the social medias at JT from Saskatoon, all one word. You can also catch me on the Comic Connoisseurs podcast that I do with Ben Carver and Red Ink, as well as I am one of the primary creators on Twig's Sunday Funnies, along with Mike the Birdman. And
very cool.
Right here at the Pullbag.
That's right. We've got another Batman Beyond thing to do next week because we've got to get into the eradication agenda. Oh boy, I can only imagine what that story is going to be. I am at TFG1Mike on Twitter. You can also follow at Geekcast Radio and at the Pullbag as well. As I said, next week, episode 483 will be Batman Beyond Volume 8, the eradication agenda. For now, I am TFG1Mike with
JT from Saskatoon.
As always, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.
Batmobile! Ignition!
You've just heard the latest episode of The Pullbag, the GCRN's first comic review and discussion podcast. There are several ways to get in touch with us and leave feedback for the show. You can visit the website, geekcastradio.com, where you can comment on the episode and all of our different podcasts. You can rate and leave a review for the show on iTunes. Be sure to leave us feedback. Become a fan of us on Facebook, facebook.com/thepullbag. Send us an email, feedback at geekcastradio.com. Follow us on Twitter at thepullbag and at geekcastradio. So until next time, make your great escape into comics and unleash the geek in you.